Nobody is obligated to owe anybody anything better in this life. The world doesn't owe anybody understanding, and we ought to not expect the understanding of the world when we're all going through certain things, and nobody's life is going to be completely similar, and it's not necessarily fair to judge anybody's life comparatively as far as the amount of suffering you're going through versus somebody else, because comparison really is the thief of joy. And that's really what this Valentine's Day stuff is all about. The sex demons are harvesting energy. It was so empty at the gym this morning. I've never seen the gym so empty on a Friday morning. Like usually things are pretty up and at 'em. Everybody's out and about. Mondays and Fridays are usually the busiest days in my gym that I go to, and today, man, nobody was anywhere. The gym was mine, basically. And there were a few women that were wearing their pink and red outfits that looked kind of sad. And, I feel bad for these kinds of women, not necessarily because it's Valentine's Day and they're alone, but because they're still in the world. These people, especially the simps as well, that are going to great lengths to make their women happy on Valentine's Day. It's like, what do you think this really is? Why do you think we have Valentine's Day to begin with? Really, this is just another excuse for men to feel like they owe, like it's an excuse for society to make men feel like they owe women something. And it's an excuse for women to be even more entitled than they already are. That's the way I see this. And I'm not trying to hate on simps or women in general or anything like that. I'm just saying that this is how it is. And women, you're not obligated to make your husband any kind of particular meal or whatever on this day today. You ought to be able to do that just whenever you want to and whenever he would like to, and you guys can come together when you want to. I mean, do you really need another pagan holiday to commensurate your relationship and to make sure that everybody in here is going to be involved in something that is well, it's Valentine's Day, so now we have to get together. Well, what about all the other days of the year? What about just a regular Saturday? Something that I think is most beneficial and most useful for couples is to have scheduled dates or to scheduled times to be together when they're going to talk about things, or they're going to just be in the same room. Maybe they're not even going to talk, but they're going to be in the same room together for a certain duration of time. And it's I guess these kind of holidays give people an excuse to do that one or two times a year, but they really ought to be doing this more often. And this is the time of year when sex magic is really at an all-time high. And anybody that's not familiar with sex magic, it's just a form of witchcraft in which some women out there genuinely believe that they will be able to cast love spells on you. And I've heard from witches in the past where certain kind of love spells is they will manifest, quote unquote, the man of their dreams, quote unquote. And all that it takes is for them to do certain things in the background that is witchcraft, and then the man does appear. And I've had a witch tell me in the past, when I was researching witchcraft, I've been on the spiritual path for now 7 years almost, and when I was about maybe 2 or 3 years into my spiritual walk, I didn't start to follow Christ until 3 years ago. So about 3 to 4 years into my spiritual walk is when I started to follow Christ. And when I was in my 2 to 3 years intro to spiritual awakening, and I was communicating with some of these witches just because I wanted to see what they were really about. I wanted to hear what they really had to say, and if there was anything of utility that I could access, because I thought, well, obviously there's a lot of people practicing this kind of stuff. There's bound to be something to it. right? Like people don't just practice this stuff for nothing. And the thing is it is very powerful, but it's also very dangerous. The kinds of things that I've heard and the kinds of things that I've seen, women will use their vaginal juices and put it on as like a perfume on their neck or on their wrists to attract the pheromones of men. And on days like today, I'm sure you guys that are watching this can understand that the lust energy was really high. But it was also very sad. Like there was this kind of like seductive sadness energy in the air, at least where I'm at, kind of just manifesting itself in the society at large. And so it seemed to me like for the last decade or so, I've never really understood Valentine's Day anyway. And I've had people try to, ask me to be their Valentine and whatnot. And, even today, I just saw the kinds of behaviors that were exhibited from these guys, these simps. This guy literally went up to a woman at the gym this morning, and I didn't go anywhere else today because I got my grocery shopping done. I got my work done. Like I'm staying in my own lane today. I don't need to go anywhere else. And so I had all this stuff done and ready to go, so I don't have to participate too much in the world today, because I know that days like this, like Easter, for example, or Christmas, or Halloween, or Thanksgiving, the energy is always just super weird around these pagan holidays. But I heard this guy at the gym this morning, he literally went up to a woman and said, "Happy Valentine's Day." Well, wait, can I wish you a happy Valentine's Day? Like, this dude was asking permission to celebrate a holiday for this woman. And she was just, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can say that. And he was like, "Oh, okay." And it's like this guy was asking permission from the woman to be who he is. And for any of the men out there that are not familiar with this, that's a very, very beta thing to do, is ask permission from a woman. There's a difference between, getting consent, right? Because obviously, and this guy was just wishing her, it wasn't even like he was asking for a kiss or something, which would have been even more cringe, but he was asking to celebrate something. I mean, I don't know. That was just super weird. And the woman, the way she was responding, obviously, is an indicator that this guy he's a beta, he's a simp orbiter. And the woman is just taking the attention, because that's just what some of these women do out here. There's not very many women that are actually godly women that are Proverbs 31 women out there. For anybody that is not familiar with Proverbs 31, that's what the Bible describes to be a virtuous woman. So if you are interested in what that looks like, go look there and you'll get more information. But this was something that I just saw today that I couldn't help but I guess I understood it, but at the same time I didn't understand, because I just cannot relate to these kinds of silly things anymore. I can't relate to the world at all. It seems like the more I grow closer to God, and the more I see the world for what it really is, because this life, and I might just make a video on this, but life is a VR game for the soul. That's the best way that I can think about this, because this life is just a game. At the end of the day, it doesn't mean that the game isn't there's not any stakes in the game. There's not any skin in the game, right? Because there absolutely is. But that doesn't mean also that we need to take it too seriously. A lot of people just take this kind of stuff, like Valentine's Day, too seriously. Who cares? Who genuinely cares about Valentine's Day? Like, can a guy just play racquetball and hit the gym and do his work throughout the day without getting bombarded with these Valentine's Day stuff going on, and everybody's out and about, and oh, love is in the air. Meanwhile, you got women acting like prostitutes, and you're supposed to think to yourself, apparently, that you're supposed to go out of your way as a man to chase these women and give them stuff just because, for what? Like, for what? For really, for sexual endeavors? Is that really what we're supposed to be doing here? Is that what we're supposed to? I refuse to be a part of this kind of lifestyle. It's no longer appealing to me to even see how many men even are still on this train. They're still on the degenerate train. It's incredible. It's honestly kind of sad to me, honestly, as well. It's kind of the same sadness where I see with the women that are still stuck in the world. It's the same kind of sadness that I see in these sorrowful men that are so desperate and so eager for female validation because they likely haven't had it in their own life for probably a long time. And again, I know what that's like because I had my own stuff going on, and I've had my phase of the red pill rage, I guess you could call it. I'm not a red pill content creator or anything like that. I'm more of a Christ pill, I guess you could say. I don't like that term, but I follow Christ, and I'm not religious, but I'm ritualistic in that sense of following Christ. And it seems to me as though the proclivity that people have to move in a way that intentionally degrades their self-esteem through lustful endeavors, and the people that are doing so do not see clearly that they're thinking with one head and not the right head. It's so unfathomably, like, it's childish. It's just simply childish. And I'm 28 years old, and I started to see through this kind of stuff when I was 22. And the only reason that I saw through it was because I started to actually question things. I started to actually question why things happen, why things are the way they are. I started to question reality. And for so long, I had just been told that being who I was wasn't enough. And I believed the world for too long. And a lot of the times these people out here will get caught up with the loneliness of these holidays. It's like, I'm never lonely on Christmas or Thanksgiving or Halloween or any of these Valentine's Day, Easter. I'm not any more lonely on these kinds of holidays because I know what they're really about. I know that these are pagan. Easter is pagan dressed up as a Christian religious holiday. It's absolutely not a religious holiday. And nowhere in the Bible does it talk about celebrating Easter. And the Bible does talk about the Feast of Trumpets, for example. There are other holidays in the Bible that the Bible talks about that God's people are to celebrate. But where do you see the Christians of today talk about this kind of stuff? You don't. Not for the most part. Most people are still stuck in the cultural holiday stuff and loop. And that's fine. But we just need to see it for what it is, and we need to start acting in accordance to what God really wants for us. Does God really want you to feel like you owe other people something? That you owe someone a better life? Male or female? No, God does not want you to feel that way. God doesn't need you to feel that way. He doesn't want you to, why would God need you to feel like you owe somebody something or you owe somebody a better life? Unless it was for some form of repentance or forgiveness, I have no reason to see that you owe somebody a better life. And if you're celebrating this holiday as a godly man or a godly woman, I highly urge you to and encourage you to really establish and reaffirm and reassess what it means to live in accordance to God's laws, statutes, and commandments, and really what it means to follow Christ. Now, I know I'm not perfect. I know that I'm going to fall short of the glory of God just as much as anybody else. But that doesn't mean that I'm fulfilled. Like I know that I'm fulfilled, and I'm doing everything that I can each day to make sure that I'm moving ever closer to God, and I'm moving away from the world, and I'm moving further away from the world and closer to Him. And I know that this life is just temporary. You know, like I said before, this game of life is it's just a VR game for your soul. It's very real, and the stakes are high. Okay, and somebody in my consultations recently said that, so I have this this phrase in my mind about it. The stakes are high, as this person said, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the game is worthless. And it doesn't necessarily mean the game is not to be played properly. This is about strategizing a configuration of power that is going to be giving glory to the Most High God and Jesus Christ. So if you're out there this Valentine's Day and you are trying to give somebody something better because you feel like you owe them something, I highly encourage you to look inside yourself and reestablish your values and principles and see if this is really something that God would want for you. All right? So with that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful. We do have the Regal Change Academy for people that are wanting to join a godly community where people are building their minds, their bodies, and their souls each and every day. We have the free Discord channel with about 200 members or so, and we have the paid community with about 150 members. And the biggest difference between the two is in the free Discord channel, you have the free ebook available to read that I wrote. You also have a meditation guide, fitness guides, healing guides, etc. And then in the paid community right now, we're going to be starting the Legends of Stoicism class series next week. And I'm super stoked for that. I'm very excited for it. That'll be an 8-week class series where we study Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus and their philosophies, and we go through giving task sheets and updates each week in accordance to the reading that we have for each of those weeks. And it's going to be like a class, like an actual class, so be prepared for that. We also have other online classes that you can take that are going to be on your own time. And these things are not just, it's not going to give you the end all be all. These are building blocks for you. Okay, the Academy, the Regal Change Academy, is designed to give you proper stepping stones and stepping blocks and building tools so that you can reorient your life properly. So we also have the Godlike Savage class. We also have the AI optimization, where you can learn about AI and how to include that in your businesses and such, or just in your job in general. We also have Entrepreneurial Minds. We have dream interpretations, etc. So lots of different things there. We also have a weekly Maps of the Psyche class coming up. We also have a weekly Bible study call, as well as a weekly Regal Assembly call where we talk about a variety of different topics and subjects. I do appreciate everybody tuning in and listening to this video. I hope that everybody has a blessed night and a blessed day, wherever and whenever you're listening to this. And peace be with you all. Until next time.